we had the UFL Championship, the inaugural one, as the USFL side champion Birmingham Stallions take on the XFL San Antonio Brahmas. And interesting way that we got here. San Antonio, the huge upset over the Battlehawks. And then the Stallions surviving the Michigan Panthers, to say the least, even having to bench UFL MVP Adrian Martinez, having to take him off the field and bring in Matt Corral during that game, who actually led a touchdown drive and helped lead them down the stretch. So we got an interesting matchup here, but nonetheless, we got Kelcey's Birmingham Stallions going for a three-peat, for lack of a better words, as well. So what an outstanding matchup as well. I mean, you get the kind of surprise, the parity with San Antonio, led by Wade Phillips and that incredible defensive scheme, and then the juggernaut, the Stallions, who more or less had an NFL quarterback in a lot of people's eyes, including ours, as the second string, and the UFL MVP is your starter. So what a matchup we have here! Like what an awesome matchup for the first UFL championship.
Yeah, first UFL championship, third opportunity for the Stallions to win a championship in 3 years. So far, 2 for 2. We'll see if they can make it 3 for 3. Skip Holtz, man. I think he gets often overlooked as what he's done in this type of a league. It's almost unheralded in the start of a new league and start of a new kind of tenure as a coach. Year 1, you win a championship. Year 2, you win a championship. And year 3, you're back in the championship game. So very impressive to see. We all know Wade Phillips' credentials. Still one of my favorite all-time Cowboys coaches. Top 3, and he's definitely not 3. So, you know, it's no surprise that the Brahmas coaching staff could get them here. The shock there is with the upset to the Battlehawks, who for the second year in a row get to the chance to play into the championship game. So they get to their conference's championship game and get eliminated. 2 years in a row, AJ McCarron's team cannot make it. Tough break for them. Tough break for him. He hasn't won anything since he had Trent Richardson in the backfield. So if anybody knows those days. But look, you know, it sucks because St. Louis would have been in St. Louis for this championship game, so that does ruin a little bit of this. So St. Louis fans will not be filling the dome for this game. You'll still probably see them anyways, but they're not going to be rooting for their own St. Louis Battlehawks. So yeah, it's cool to see. Cool to see the upset from the Brahmas getting there. And this is also the Rocks team, technically, named after the Rocks tattoo. If nobody knows that, the logo that's on the jerseys is based off of his tattoo, part of his Under Armour line. So that part's cool. But no, I'm look, this is impressive to see from the Stallions, impressive from Skip Holtz. Doesn't matter who's his quarterback back there. He's doing the simplest thing that you could possibly do as a coach, which is know your personnel and put them in the best positions to win. He has 2 quarterbacks that are coaches on the field right now in the UFL. That's how they play in the UFL. That's how he allows them to play. That's why we see these 2 probably playing their most impressive football of their entire lives. And yes, I'm saying that about MVP Adrian Martinez because if nobody remembers, he sucked in Nebraska. Also often injured. Not that great. MVP.
Nebraska.
Yeah. An MVP of the UFL in year 1 of the UFL. An absolutely impressive season. And then Matt Corral, like you said, I mean, he should be on a roster somewhere in the NFL. But it's nice to see him get an opportunity. And Skip Holtz lets them both compete Monday and Tuesday, picks the winner Wednesday, goes with that. And with all that said, Martinez kept the job for 95% of the year. And you see what happens when you have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. No matter how tough the situation is, down 17-3 going into the half, your team comes back and wins its 3rd straight conference championship to go to a championship. Like, that's a different level of impressive. You talk about building culture. I think there's a culture in Birmingham for the Birmingham Stallions, and it's all about winning, and it's all about just the next guy up, the next man stepping up. And you consider this an injury roster, like this injured roster to a lot of good players. This is an impressive thing to see for what the Stallions are doing.
Add on to that, Martinez did lead the league in rushing yards as a quarterback during the regular season and was 2nd in passing touchdowns and 3rd in passing yards, despite technically Matt Corral was a starting quarterback at the very start of the season before Martinez took over the job. So an absolutely sensational season from Martinez. I want to point out, too, before we get into our predictions, too, very interesting here. The money line for the betting odds is surprisingly close right now with the Stallions at minus 165 for the money line and the Brahmas at plus 140. So surprisingly close. I honestly thought that Birmingham might have I thought they might be in kind of that minus 250, minus 300 territory. And I thought the Brahmas might be kind of in that plus 2 to plus 400 range. I'm surprised the odds makers have it quite as close considering how dominant Birmingham has been. And how, as we mentioned, San Antonio not only had to pull off a big upset over the Battlehawks, they had to do it they had to play them in back-to-back weeks, basically, too. They had to play them pretty much 2 out of the last handful of weeks. They did not
2 back-to-back weeks. No, you were right. The first back-to-back weeks for them.
It doesn't get much more difficult than that. So I'm intrigued. So as we go to the predictions, I'll keep mine quick and easy. I haven't really bet against the Stallions yet, and I think Michigan might have been the second best team in all of the UFL, honestly. So I think that was their toughest matchup. I know they've had some weird losses, some random stinkers throughout the season, but they might have been the second best team in the UFL. And I think them getting past that, it's kind of like in those old adages where it's like whoever wins the AFC Championship game is going to win the Super Bowl. It doesn't even matter. Or in the NBA Finals, whoever wins the West is going to destroy when LeBron comes out of the East with him and 7 other Cavs players that no one cares about at that point, so on and so forth. I feel like that kind of was the case here. So I'm going to give it to Birmingham. I think they're going to win. I don't see a point spread off the top of my head, but if it's anything less than 7,
it's
I think
-3. Right now.
They're going to cover that. They're going to win by more than 3, I think. I like Wade Phillips is going to keep it within 7, I think. I think he'll find a way to keep it relatively close. But as you mentioned, it's a culture of winning at Birmingham, and they're arguably the most talented roster on top of it. Wow, it's a juggernaut right now. So I'm going to take the Stallions. I'm going to pick them to win this one. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll manage to hold on late. Wade Phillips is going to make it close by himself. And right now, I think Kelcey's absolutely shocked because he probably anticipated me taking San Antonio as his computer freezes right now. But I think he's probably leaning towards the same way they are. Also, they are his Birmingham Stallions. I also kind of wanted to point out to it something that was very interesting is we talked about Matt Corral could be an NFL quarterback as well. Both quarterbacks under 25 years of age too. So if one of them goes, they have another young option there. Kelcey, I think we got you back now as well. So I don't know if you got it. I'm going with Birmingham. I think they win. We're going to say that it stays a little bit close, though. I think Wade Phillips can keep it close, but the talent pulls away for the Stallions.
Yeah. Sorry, you shocked my computer and my internet into running away. They giddied up, if you will, right on out of here. No, I do. I'm going to go with you here. I do think Birmingham is the favorite, obviously, team of choice here for me. So bias being what it is, I'm going with that team. I'm going with my bias. With that said, it is worth mentioning that San Antonio has given Birmingham its only loss on the season in a very competitive game. These two match up very well because what Wade Phillips does, or what Skip Holtz does offensively really well, Wade Phillips can counter really well with his defense. They can get to the quarterback, and if they can keep Martinez or Corral in the pocket and make them make decisions, this game becomes completely different. And if they can also slow down the run along with that, Birmingham's struggling. Staying in the pocket and making plays is not necessarily their bread and butter this year. With that said, I'm still going to go with Stallions. It's, again, team of choice. 3-peats are really cool to watch. And in this type of a league, I think it's even more impressive.
Absolutely, as well. So let us know down in the comments who you think is going to walk away with the inaugural UFL championship. And what do you think about season 2 right now? I think we're both very hopeful that we get season 2. I think it's picked up a good amount of steam, so hopefully we get ourselves a season 2 with hopefully a few less Dwayne Johnson commercials during those. I mean, every time they had a TV timeout when I went to the DC Defenders game, I had to see Dwayne Johnson's face every single time in the stadium. So maybe a few less.
It was Zoa. It was Under Armour. It was any insert brand here. Just a UFL commercial with him front and center.
Just a little bit less walk and a little bit more paper and scissors, please.
Still, he's not the CEO of the league. Just throwing that out there.
A little more paper and a little more scissor. That's all we need right now. But let us know down below who you think is going to win and what you think about Martinez pulling in the MVP award as well. But